everyone, this is Lomi, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be answering a few questions. Some of them are ones that were asked on Instagram and on Tumblr, and some are really common questions that I get on YouTube. So, okay, first up, JJ3 Dolls asked, where do you work or what do you do? I used to be a supervisor at Michael's, which really helped me get familiar with materials and all different kinds of art supplies, and it also let me build up a really big collection that I probably need to pare back a little bit. It's a little bit embarrassing when you see how much craft stuff I have. But right now, I am a stay-at-home mom. I had to leave my job when my daughter was born because the cost of childcare in the United States is ridiculous, and it actually cost more per week than what I was earning. And at the time, my husband was still in school, so there wasn't much point in me working if we were going to be going in the negative. So I left my job and started pursuing my art and writing full-time because it actually saved us money for me to stay home. Era Otaku asks, will you ever make your own BJD, and if so, will you make tutorial videos? Yes, I really want to do that. I have several dolls that I've never been able to find any other sculpts that work, so I always figured I would eventually have to make my own. I also want to make a body for a smaller doll to replace my little fee eventually, but I don't know when that's going to happen because the only sculpting I've ever done has been for Rune and a couple modification projects other than him. So I have no idea how to start with sculpting a doll, but that is something that I want to do, and it is something that I will definitely do videos for in the future when I get to it. I'll probably start with 3D sculpting though, because I do have some familiarity with that. That's what I did for Rune's sword, so I might as well use that to start making heads and things, and then I can refine the fine details by hand with clay and other tools like Bondo. I use Bondo a lot. So yes, that is definite yes. Blue Foxy-kun asks, how long have you been in the hobby and what is your favorite aspect of it? I got Rune in, I guess, 2010 in February. So I've been in the hobby for almost 8 years. I liked dolls a lot earlier than that, but it took me a long time to get the money to get started. As for my favorite aspect of it, it's definitely the customization, having the ability to turn all of my characters from my stories into dolls that I can have with me. It's really inspiring, and it's something I've really enjoyed doing, so I'm glad I did get started. Here's a fun follow-up to that. Lissy Dixon Art asks, what is your least favorite aspect of BJDs? It would be really easy for me to say that it's the money, but I think it's actually how much time it takes to get anything done in the hobby. Face-ups take usually a weekend for me to complete a face-up. Sewing, making my own patterns, and just waiting for the doll to get to me. It takes forever. I mean, I don't really mind the money, even though they are really expensive, because I do think that artists should be fairly compensated for the work they put into the dolls. So I don't mind that. I don't like having to wait, and it takes forever to do anything. Princess Ev asks, how did you discover your characters? They kind of find me. Rune is always the most interesting one to talk about because his entire story was born from a dream that I had. Hi, Mom. Okay, let's try that again. So, how did I discover my characters? And I was talking about Rune. I had a dream when I was, I guess, about 13 or 14, and my mom was cooking and I could smell chicken. So I went down to the kitchen to see if she needed some help, and when I got downstairs, Rune was standing next to the stove. I was like, who are you? And he looked at me, and he looked at the food, and he said, I'm just here for the chicken. And then I woke up. And when I woke up, I had his entire story with all of the other characters already in mind. So it's kind of a weird backstory, but that's the true story of where my characters came from. Laylee and Arios are a little bit different because Arios belongs to my husband and Laylee is mine, but you know, we used to roleplay. That was actually how we met. Laylee was my alchemist in Ragnarok Online, and Arios was Joe's assassin. And we just used to play together. And from there, it kind of developed into its own story, which I then turned into a fantasy story, and I told him that I'm going to take his character and write a book about him. And so far, he's okay with that, but we'll see when he reads the actual book after it's finished. So here's another one from Lissy that was, if you weren't into BJDs or writing, what would you do? And that's a really difficult question for me because I've been writing for so long that I don't know what I would do if I didn't write. I guess I would still sew, and I would probably do a lot more artwork. I used to draw a lot. I always thought I was going to be a visual art teacher, but I ended up not enjoying it as much as I thought I would. So after I had a chance to try that when I was in college, I pretty much gave that up, and I don't really draw very much anymore either, just because doing things for dolls and doing things on YouTube and writing my books takes a lot of time, and there's not much left for anything else. Musume asks, how did you find out about BJDs? This was a really popular question that a lot of people asked. I found out about BJDs accidentally when I was looking up garage kits for something else entirely. I had seen a lot of anime figurines on forums and things back in like 2002, 2003, and from there I ended up on Volk's website. And, you know, Volks did a lot of the garage kits, and they did model tanks and things like that. And they also had this fairly new thing called Super Dolphy. And when I saw it, I was completely in love. And then I saw the price tag, so I did not get my first doll for a lot longer. And here's a couple nameless questions. One is, cake or ice cream? And the answer is ice cream, preferably mint chocolate chip. What is Rune's favorite candy or dessert? Probably caramel, but he has a really big sweet tooth, so he'll eat anything that's sweet. Why do you give your patterns away for free? Well, when I got my first doll, there weren't a lot of places that you could get clothes for him, and you couldn't find sewing patterns for him either. So when I made my very first pattern, I decided that I was going to make it available to everybody, so that anybody who had the same size doll as me wouldn't have a problem. It wasn't until later that I realized that a lot of people who get started with dolls don't have the ability to sew yet either. So I decided that I would release my patterns along with tutorials so that everybody would be able to learn and dress their dolls and at least have a starting point. I've had an Etsy shop for a while, but one of the things that I learned in doing it is that I don't like making the same thing over and over again. So even though I could make things and sell them on Etsy regularly, I don't do it often because it gets boring after a while. So if I'm just gonna put a pattern away and never use it again, I might as well give it to other people so they can make use of it too. And then there was the most popular question. Everybody wanted to know about the doll story. So, like I said, Laylee and Arios are from one story, and then everybody else is from Rune's story. And unfortunately, Rune's story is not available for anybody to read right now. It is a 6-book-long epic fantasy series that I've been trying to find representation for, and I've gotten a couple partial requests from agents, but nothing has panned out yet. I have considered looking into self-publishing just because of how important it is to me that I get to keep the rights to the world that I've created so that I can ensure that my whole series is going to go out, because there are at least 3 more books in that series with other characters that I want to write. But right now I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know when the story is going to be available. but it's really big and it's really immersive, and eventually if people get a chance to read it, that would make me very happy, because that story has been what led me to get started with dolls, and it's been a really big part of my life for the past 15 years. And I was gonna record a few more, but my little battery light is blinking at me, so I guess this is all for this. But if you have any more questions that you guys want answers to, ask me in the comments below, and I'll try to do maybe one every month or every 2 months, and until I have all your questions answered. Oh, there was one more on the back. This was the most popular question everybody asks. Where do my dolls come from? So I'm going to be doing another video about my dolls, the state that they are in right now, and my plans for them in the coming year, and I will be posting that next week. So you can look forward to that then, and I will include information on my dolls, where I got them, when I got them, and I will provide links so that you can check them out too. And I guess that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.